Podcasting from the Chicagoland area, this is Game On with Jackson Stewart, where we discuss men's lifestyle, focusing on sex, fitness, relationships, business, and more. We'll be interviewing the best of the best, the hot shots, and the rising stars in the worlds of modeling, fitness, cooking, and more. Influencers who are discussing keeping it sexy while at the top of their game. I'm your host, Jackson Stewart. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the game.
Follow Game On with Jackson Stewart on YouTube at Game On with Jack, on the official blog www.gameonwithjack.blog, and at the new store www.gameonwithjack.shop. Keep it sexy and game on.
What if you could be a better player for the cost of one more cup of coffee a month? Get access to a growing library of lit erotica, behind-the-scenes action, and player's guides with tips on drinking, cooking, fitness, dating, sex, and life after dark. Low tier rate while offer lasts. Patreon.com, Game On with Jack. Keep it sexy and game on.
This is Dale Valor.
This is Pamela Ross.
This is Trinasia.
And you're listening
to
Game On with Jackson Stewart.
Game On with Jackson Stewart.
Game On with Jackson Stewart. Killing them.
It's been called the root of all evil. It walks while BS talks. It has been blamed for breakups, heartaches, and just about the downfall of humanity. We all need it, but no one talks about it. Until now, tonight, we're talking money. Kimsey Hollifield, at 23, was the youngest general manager to ever be awarded his own office in the history of the nation's largest insurance agency. Kimsey was named one of Charleston's top 5 financial planners shortly after he won the Thrive Award for being one of the fastest growing firms in America. Kimsey's finance articles have been featured on ABC, NBC, Fox, CBS, and the Charleston Grit. Kimsey is a part-time real estate investor, owning properties in both North and South Carolina. He is also working on his pilot license, has met Michael Jordan, and has competed in and won several eating competitions. He is also our guest tonight.
All right, guys, you've heard the introduction and bio. Now join me in welcoming to Game On the brilliant, the savvy, and the fiscally sage Kimsey Hollifield. Kimsey, how you doing?
I'm doing great. What an introduction. Thank you. That's awesome.
Thanks for joining us on the show. And let's kick things off, because money is always one of those powerful but yet uncomfortable discussions sometimes. Let the audience know what platforms you're on and by what username they can find you.
Yeah, so we're on our main platform right now is YouTube. So we're doing a lot on YouTube. You can just search my name, Kimsey Hollifield, or you can search my company's name, Hollifield Financial Group. And then aside from that, we're on Instagram, also Kimsey Hollifield. You know, I have a really weird name, so it's easy to get my name as my username. So Kimsey Hollifield is the Instagram as well. We're on TikTok. I switched it, and it is the Millionaire Advisor. A lot of our clients are millionaires, and we give them financial advice, right? So, and then of course we're on Facebook. You can, everybody's on Facebook, and our website is hollifieldfinancial.com.
Awesome. Now, can you let our listeners know, where did you grow up, and is that where you're also from?
So I grew up in Western North Carolina, and, Western North Carolina is the South, but it's not like I live in Charleston now. I live just outside Charleston, Summerville. So that's the low country.
Charleston many times.
Yeah. So it's historic. It's old. There are beaches. It's great food. And, I grew up in the South, but I grew up in the country South. It was totally different. Right. And we are like a lot of people, that grew up in Western North Carolina, very humble beginnings. We struggled financially growing up. My parents are incredibly hard workers, but in that area of the country and in that situation, it's difficult. You have to be a hard worker just to put food on the table and just to provide, the basic necessities, for your family. And so we definitely went through that, and that creates not only an understanding, for me at least, an understanding about money and how to make money and how to do things maybe a little bit differently than I had seen, from some other people, but also it creates a fear of money. I think a lot of people have a fear of money that they take with them for their entire life, and that's what I try to do with our practice. I have a financial planning practice down here in Somerville, Charleston, and then we have locations in Jacksonville and up in Asheville. We say that we want to take the fear out of your future, when we're talking about money.
All right, now I totally want to jump on that because you did also segue right into one of the things I want to hit on. But I gotta go off to the side because although I'm a Chicago guy, my mom and a lot of my family's from the South. So
okay.
So I gotta ask you, grits, sweet or savory?
Grits for me are savory. I like shrimp and grits now. So shrimp grits. There's a place down here that has barbecue shrimp and grits, or cheese grits are really good. But growing up we wouldn't have grits. I didn't have grits one time growing up. We would have cream of wheat, which is, like a little bit different. And that would have like loads of butter and all kinds of sugar and stuff in it. But as I grew up, I guess now if I'm going to have any of that, it's like no sugar. It's not sweet at all. I stay away from that. But shrimp and grits is definitely my thing right here. How about you?
I'm savory. I
okay.
think of the idea about putting sugar in grits. I feel like I would melt if you put that in front of me.
Yeah.
Now, how sweet is your sweet tea?
Sweet tea is real sweet. Okay. It is really, really sweet. I went to a basketball tournament in high school. We went up to Pennsylvania. And if you ever did sports and you traveled and you're asleep on the bus and you wake up and you're like, oh, where the heck am I? And we go in, I said, all right, let me have a sweet tea and, whatever the chicken or whatever it was. And they give me this raspberry thing. And I'm like, this is not sweet tea. And we had just crossed up into the north. I knew we were Yankees at that point. I was like, dang, this is no good. But so where I live, Somerville, it's a small town. There's about 55,000 people here right now. It's growing rapidly, but right now we're about 55,000 people. And it is supposedly the birthplace of sweet tea. That is what we're known for. Downtown, there's this big this big artwork with this big jug of, supposed to be like, this is the birthplace of sweet tea. I don't know if I'm not trying. I love this town, but I don't know if this was the first place in the world that anybody ever put sugar in tea. But certainly, I've kind of pushed back on that. I'm like, okay, there had to be somebody somewhere that threw a little sugar in their tea. But definitely, this is the first place that it was documented enough that we can get by with saying that.
And two more little Southern connections. Up here, we call them cockroaches, but down south, what do they call them?
Well, we call them cockroaches too, but if we want to be really proper, we call them palmetto bugs, but they're just cockroaches.
Yes.
So we'll be like, there's a palmetto bug over there, but it's just a cockroach.
I was in Columbia, South Carolina, and they were telling me, they're like,
yeah,
oh man, like, palmetto bugs come on at night. I was walking on the street, walking to a restaurant. And I'm like, what's palmetto bug? And, they're describing it, but they're trying to make it sound all beautiful.
Yeah.
And once you hit to it's brown and got 6 legs, I'm like, you mean a roach? That's what
it's like a fancy cockroach. Yeah.
Yeah. It was like it had like it glittered and it
yeah,
cockroach.
And, it's a fancy name for a cockroach.
Since you're from down south, if somebody says he fell out somewhere. What does that mean?
He fell out.
Yeah.
That would be, the only time I ever really heard that was growing up in church. If somebody was getting prayed for and they fell out. I went to a Pentecostal church growing up. That's the only reference I can think about for that. What do you have?
My mother would say, if you fell out somewhere, you basically just passed out.
Okay.
You fell out somewhere, and I remember somebody that I know was like, well, what if they fall out of, like, a window? Or I'm like, no, they just passed out. It's so like,
that's just passing out.
Yeah, but something you said, and it's actually literally one of my first questions. I'm so glad you hit on it. Why is money so scary? Like, you talk about taking the fear out of people's future, and I think that's such a great concept. But why are we so scared of something that's so important to our life?
Well, I think there's a couple of reasons, right? First of all, it's never talked about. They say that the two things that no one ever talks about is money and sex, and so you don't talk about it, and you don't learn about it in school, and your parents don't typically talk to you about it. And so, but then you grow up and you have bills, and, it's all these, it becomes a stress. So it becomes the dark side of money. Right. And if you don't if you don't know how to take care of your money and don't respect that, then your money is not going to be there to take care of you, and so, it's just something where, people, you get started and you get, a little bit of fear of it, and then it just perpetuates and keeps going, and then they think, then what we think is everybody else has it figured out, and then you think, oh, I'm too stupid to ask this question, because I don't understand this. Well, most people don't have it figured out, and it's a difficult thing. It's a really difficult thing. So a big part of my job is, when people come in to see me, they might have an account somewhere, or they might not have anything. They're not started, planning, or maybe they have 12 different accounts and, a bunch of money. Right. But a big part of my job is to communicate what people have and how it works and what, that they understand, because it doesn't do any good if I'm talking about, all this stuff and people aren't getting it. You have to communicate in a way that people get it and they feel comfortable with it. And they're like, okay, now, and that's what I tell people, when you come in to see me, if I can help you, I'll help you. If I can't help you, I'll tell you, but I promise you that you'll have an understanding of it, because I'm not going to try to talk over your head. I'm not going to try to, make myself feel like I'm, smart. I'm just going to try to help, and that's I think what the most important thing is.
Now, you're a Southern guy, you grow up, you got hardworking, I'm assuming probably blue collar parents who are, hitting the grindstone every day.
Oh yeah.
Making ends meet. How do you go from that to being, the president of a large financial company, to being a speaker, to being an educator on it? What's that path look like? It's
the same path as doing anything big, right? If you want to run a marathon and you can't run, you don't think about, I have to run 26.2 miles. You think, okay, how do I get the next step? It's like the old saying, to build a wall, you don't focus on building a wall. You just focus on laying that next brick really perfectly. And, there was a time where I'd gotten married and I was 21. It was my 21st birthday. And I had nothing and you would look and you would say, I really had no future, and didn't really have, it was very difficult. I remember sitting in a Subway parking lot, and had no money, couldn't pay rent. My birthday is July 5th, so rent was due, and I was like, okay, now I'm getting to that grace period. And, I got a sub, back when they were $5 foot-long subs. And, I was going to take half home to my wife, and I just sat there and cried, and I said, you know what, I have to change everything, and I think whenever you're trying to change your life, people focus on, hey, I'm going to do all these great things, I'm going to do all this stuff. And really it's about like, what are a couple of things that I can change right now, or that next smallest step. It's just like losing a bunch of weight. If you're going to lose 50 pounds, you really just got to focus on losing 2 pounds, and then 2 pounds, and then 2 pounds. You don't look at it as a whole. And the next thing you know, you put your head down and you use, the work ethic that a lot of us have. Certainly I had instilled in me growing up a work ethic, and you just kind of put your head down and work your butt off, and then you look up and you're like, I've done a couple of cool things. I've accomplished a few things, and now we just got to keep. Now you make another 3-year plan, and you kind of just keep on going with those small steps.
Who are some of your influences, like people that you books that you read, speakers that you follow, influencers you follow? Who are like 3 people that inspire Kimsey Hollifield every day?
Yeah, so I read a lot of books, right? I read a lot of books. I try to do a lot of the audiobooks. So somebody said, well, you don't actually read. I guess I don't read, but I listen to them, right?
Right.
So I read a lot of books. I just read this book, Who Not How. That was really fantastic. I think Dan Sullivan wrote that. But the people in my life that I could say, okay, for some reason I'm getting like 15 text messages right now, that I would say,
yeah, you're Kimsey Hollifield.
I don't know why. It's like everything comes in at once. We just moved into a new office, so they're messaging me blinds. We have new blinds coming in. So, but anyway, so the people, right? Early on, there were a couple of people. Joe Lanford is my best friend's dad. He gave me a job when I really didn't have any background or any credentials to have a job. And that put me on a good path and around good people, and sort of gave me an opportunity. Another mentor of mine, David Rainwater, he was one of my very early bosses in my early 20s. And, he taught me a tremendous amount about, just how to a lot of stuff, right? How to run a business, how to sell, how to present yourself, he's one of these guys that like I could write a book and just put all the little David Rainwater sayings in, and it would be not only hilarious, but it would actually oddly be really, really beneficial. So, those 2 guys, and then I just continue to try to find places where I can be, where I can try to be the dumbest person or the least successful person in any room that I'm in. The old saying that, like, and I'm going to butcher this, but how does that go, man? It's like the smartest person. You're the smartest person in the room, or but
oh yeah, if you're the smartest person in the room, well, I've heard it a couple ways. One, you should never be the smartest person in the room.
Yeah,
the smartest person in the room, you should leave. If you're the smartest person in the room, you need to have more people.
Yeah. So maybe I stole this, right? But the thing that I think about is if you're the smartest person in the room, you need to find another room where you can be the dumbest person in the room, And I go to a lot of these conferences and stuff, and there's these people here that have these great businesses, and they're set up, everything's running great, and they have knowledge in areas that I don't actually have, and you can learn from. And so one of the things that I try to do, because I'm basically an introvert, I don't actually want to go places. If I'm at like a conference or something, if I let myself, I just sort of drift to the corner, or I don't want to go out, right? I'm an introvert.
Right.
And so I have this little game where I try to find the smartest person in the room, right? So I'll go and I'll try to meet somebody, and I'm like, okay, well, that guy's pretty sharp, or okay, well, let me meet somebody else. And you think, okay, well, this woman has really got to be the smartest person, and you just kind of, it keeps me going to try to actually meet people, because otherwise I go to these things and I don't really get it. My wife is like a total extrovert, and she's just out there like in everything, but I could be the complete opposite if I let myself.
Well, maybe it's maybe it's growing up in the South. Maybe it's just the work ethic of your parents. But there's such a humility that you have that I think a lot of people. I think this goes one of the incorrect views we have about money, and you hit on it earlier. Like everybody, I'm gonna say everybody. I'm gonna say 100% of all people. I think at some point in time, hopefully they get out of it. Everybody believes that everybody else knows what they're doing with their money.
Yeah.
Right. And they don't. And so that makes that shame. But I think everybody also believes that every person who we view as a financial expert is going to be, arrogant.
Yeah.
To us, going to make us feel stupid, more stupid than we already feel. And I think that perpetuates people not talking about how they can be more successful with their money. So it's so refreshing.
Oh, you're dead on. Yeah.
Your take on it, because a lot of people don't think that people like you are people like you. Like they're thinking, oh man, here's Kimsey. This guy's some hot shot. I'm going to hide from him because he's going to talk to me in 5 seconds and realize that I'm broke. He doesn't know what it's like to not have money.
Right.
You are, crying about not having enough money for rent and a Subway sandwich. And most people wouldn't expect that. So yeah, I think it's really eye-opening for people.
And they hide it too.
They
people do. And then in my industry, people for sure do, because they think that they have to have this persona of just having everything figured out and just being perfect with everything. And man, that's not life. We've all gone through things, and but you're 100% right. 100%. I think that, the robo advisors and the do-it-yourself stuff where, people can get the advice without having to talk to another human being. First of all, we're kind of used to doing that with, a lot of like social media and things anyways. We don't have to be with another person. But you don't have to feel stupid if you don't know the answer, or but if we could get out of that just as an industry, if we could make things a little more accessible and on my side, be a little bit more like a real person, then I think more people would feel comfortable of just saying, hey, I don't really know what I'm doing. What's the first step? What's the second step? What do I do? And because everybody has those questions.
What are 3 of the biggest financial challenges that you feel people face?
People face, I think, a fear of not knowing where to save money, where to put it, when they have it, so they stick in the bank, or, they do what, whatever the friend mentioned, but, that fear of like, I don't like, frozen in fear. And the other thing is the self-control, because money in itself is, pretty well worthless. If you have $100 bill here, it's, it's used for something, but just in itself, you have to, put it somewhere. Right. And people don't know where to put it, and then the $100 bill is a lot easier to take it down to the mall and trade it in for something that you want. So it's the fear, it's the self-control, and then it's just, having a plan and not knowing the very simple things of how to set up those plans. So that's probably the 3 things I think that people struggle with the most.
So what would be 3 steps? Somebody listening right now, 3 steps that they could do today that they could see, for lack of a better word, maybe it's the right word if we're talking about money, a return on what they've done. And I'm not saying they're not going to be an instant millionaire, but 3 things they could do right now that is going to, sometimes going in the wrong direction. First thing I do is stop and things around. So what are 3 things that can either help people stop in the negative direction or reverse completely?
Yeah. So, the 3 very easy steps, a budget, open some sort of a separate account, an investment account, a savings account, whatever. And then get any, really high interest, credit cards, things like that paid down. So, a budget is boring. When you say budget, people, glaze over, but it's just like, the ostrich, they put their head in the sand. I think it's the ostrich. You have to kind of take your head out of the sand and look around and figure out, hey, what am I actually doing? What am I spending money on? How much did I spend on, coffee last month, or going out to eat, or shopping? You just have to know those. And I'm not one of these guys that says, hey, you're going to become super wealthy by, sitting at home, not having any pleasure and not having coffee out, or, whatever, but you need to know it, right? So we have somebody in my office, Allison Jusino, and she is fantastic at doing that, at creating budgets for people. And, we do that as a free service. And so anybody who wants that help, she runs them through a little program, and she can tell exactly, what they're paying out, what they have coming in, and down to a penny. She knows all those numbers, and we do it for free for people. She loves it. It gives her a lot of it gives her a lot of satisfaction to be able to do that for people. It's very helpful, and a lot of times those people become clients on the financial side of things. So we end up earning revenue from those clients anyways. So, but either way, we offer it for free. Second is open up some sort of a side account, an investment account, a savings account. If you don't have that, you should have, some buffer. Some people say 3 months expenses. Some people say 6. Some people are just sitting there and they have no buffer. And so you just want to have some sort of separate savings account. And then you want to open, for most people, it's going to be a Roth IRA. A Roth IRA is very, very simple to open. I have tons of clients that have opened them with us, either in person or remotely. And you put $50 a month in, or you put, whatever. You can put up to a certain amount. But you put something in, whatever you can put in, you automate it. And the good thing about that is then we take that money, we invest it, it grows, and you never have to pay taxes on it down the road. So budgeting, savings, Roth IRA, and then, credit card debt that, you can't pay down is just a real killer. It's really, really difficult to have a lot of credit card debt. So if you have a lot, you just kind of use the snowball method, where you just kind of pay one off, and you kind of keep working those down until, you get out of that. And a lot of people, what they do is, they get out of the debt, and the money that they were paying to the debt, now they can put back for themselves. And that makes a big difference. The budgeting is something that literally makes a huge difference, like immediately, for people, because it's just an eye-opening thing.
What's a method, or what's something you'd recommend for people to take the shame out of money? I think a lot of people, especially when you say budget, a lot of people are scared to talk about budget because they feel, shame. Like, like some people buy coffee every day and they're going to be like, oh God, like, I know I could be better with it. And they hide because they feel shame. They don't want to look deeper because they feel like they're going to get more shame.
Yeah.
How do they take that emotion out of money?
With that, I don't know. With that, it's at a certain point, it has to be something that somebody, in your situation, whatever the situation is, you have to just say, hey, it's more important for me to actually get this right than, to put it off because of fear or shame or whatever. But I'll tell you, I mean, I have, I don't have coffee out every day, but if I want to go to Starbucks, I'll go to Starbucks, and I'm not, getting all over my clients because they're having, Starbucks, my sister-in-law, we were talking about this, and she was just a Starbucks fanatic. I mean, she was crazy on Starbucks. She was going twice a day at least. Right.
Oh, wow.
And we were hanging out one time and we were talking, and she was like, I figured out how much I spend on Starbucks, and it's this much. And I'm like, well, but the thing is, she had the money that she could do that, now listen, if you're out spending, $300 a month on Starbucks coffee and you can't pay your bills, then that's a different story. That's something where, hey, you probably don't need to do that. But if you can do that and that brings you joy, one of the things that I like to do is I like to go out to eat. And if I go out to eat, because we didn't do this a ton as a kid and as in my early 20s, if I want a drink or an appetizer or a dessert or 5 desserts, I want to get whatever I want. You know what I mean? It's not. Right. So that to me is part of the experience, to go out and to get whatever the heck you want and not worry about it, and another financial advisor might sit down with me and say, if you didn't get dessert or you didn't have that glass of wine and you saved that and you made 8%, blah, 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 in 100 years, you'd have, well, that's something that brings me joy. You know what I mean? So, I think just balancing that and understanding that, setting a budget for yourself is not something that's got to be like handcuffs on you. It's something that really, if you understand what's coming in and what's going out, it can free you up to do the things that you want to do.
Yeah, I was helping a cousin of mine. We went to go buy he had to go get a new truck, and I was going with him because it was his first new truck, and I've experienced with buying vehicles before and stuff, and so we get ready to sit down. I say, here's 2 rules of negotiation, and this pertains to money. I said, number 1, the first person willing to walk away wins. And second, like, if you can afford the truck, great. It doesn't make you Superman or, you're not healing the sick. You can afford the truck. On the flip side, if you can't afford the truck, it doesn't make you pathetic or broke or poor.
Yeah.
You just don't line up. I said, leave all that emotion outside. And he couldn't afford the truck. We said, thanks for your time. We got up, we walked out. I said, they need you to buy that truck more than you need to kill yourself to pay for it.
Yeah.
And sure enough, they called him later on and he worked up. I'm like, don't ever feel like money means who you are as a person. I mean, it's important.
Yeah.
Because there's people who unfortunately will be poor from cradle to grave, and they're the most outstanding people you'll ever meet.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
Lots of money who suck. Like,
that's true.
But you're right, because we don't talk about money, we've equated like success with good and poverty with bad, and so I'm really glad that we're having that talk. One thing I wanted to hit on before we get into some of the in our final questions, I read in your bio that you're an avid runner.
Mm-hmm.
Do you find that being physically healthy impacts someone's physical health?
I would think yes, but I would have to say no, just on the surface of if you're healthy and you take care of yourself, that doesn't necessarily equate in itself to being better off financially. But the traits of someone who will, delay the gratification of, the cake and instead do the workout, and follow the program that, the mindset and the person who will do those things on one side of their life, they'll do it on the other side of their life. So, I'll see, no, it doesn't, cutting your body fat in half doesn't make you, better financially, but those traits will just permeate through your entire life.
In keeping with the theme of sexiness, what is the sexiest thing about you?
That's a great question. Hey, Lorna.
No guest is prepared for it.
This is a good question. My wife just walked in. She can probably answer this. Actually, she literally just walked in.
What?
I'm on a podcast.
Yes.
So he has a question. I figure this is probably something. Now, we don't have a lot of, we probably don't have enough time for you to fully answer this question. But go.
Okay.
All right, go for it.
What's the question?
Lorna, welcome to the show. The question is, in keeping with the theme of sexiness, what is the sexiest thing about Kimsey?
What is the what? The
sexiest thing about me.
I might look a little bit PG.
No, you.
The first thing I ever noticed about you was your eyes. You have gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous eyes. So I would say your eyes, but also the way that you know me and let me be the artsy weirdo I am. That's something I really need. So I think that that's a sexy quality.
There we go.
Yeah.
This is a podcast first that we've ever had. A phone a friend answer for that.
Yeah. As you're setting that up, she literally just walked in to bring lunch. And so, yeah, there you go. I choose to phone a friend on that.
What do you think is a sexy quality in other people?
Confidence, for sure. People can look, a lot of different ways and be really hot and be really sexy, but confidence, charisma, and ambition and drive. I'm attracted to people who want to do things, who are trying things.
All right, it's now time for the quick game where we like to give our guests a chance to run through some entertaining questions.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Ready to go.
All right, here you go. Don't overthink it. Last gift you bought somebody.
A typewriter.
How would you describe yourself in just one word?
Ambitious.
Grilled cheese sandwich or grilled cheese and ham sandwich?
Grilled cheese with mayonnaise.
Really?
Yeah.
So you don't use the butter, you go with the mayonnaise.
I would put the butter on the outside and the mayonnaise on the inside, and then throw the cheese on top. Put it all together. Yeah. That might be a Southern thing.
It might be. Your top 3 books.
Top 3 books would be Rework. It's a short book. I forget who wrote it. So Rework. I would say, right now is Who Not How. It's the one I just finished. And then the one that I always go back and just continually is the Bible.
If you could have dinner with any animal, which one would you pick?
An octopus.
Really?
Yeah, octopuses they're cool. If you research them, they're super smart. They have all the arms, right? I mean, think about what an octopus could eat. I mean, they got, 8 arms just all over the place. Yeah. That'd be fun to watch an octopus cook dinner, actually. That would be really cool.
One of the wildest things I've ever seen is that I saw that an octopus is one of the few creatures that figures out how to unscrew a bottle to get the inside.
They're crazy smart. They're crazy smart.
Yeah. Pick a superpower: super speed or the ability to fly.
The ability to fly. Although favorite season is summer.
Hey, you're a Southern guy. I want to meet one person that says winter, and they are not from the South.
Oh no, that's I mean, you get all the good holidays then, but no, I don't like winter. I'm cold now. I'm freezing. It's too much for me.
It's probably 80 degrees, and you're like, it's too cold out there right now.
It's in the 60s. When it gets in the 60s and the 50s, it's cold. We like the heat.
I'll call you when we're having the polar vortex up here, and I'll let you know. If you were a flavor of ice cream, what would it be?
Chocolate. But with something that, like not just chocolate though, maybe like with some something in like some little chocolate chips or something.
What about that mint chocolate chip?
That'd be good. Yeah, like something with like a little extra in there. Yeah.
One of my favorite
mint chocolate chip would be good.
Who inspires you?
Who inspires me? A lot of people.
Or somebody you read, or somebody you study, or it could be someone in your family.
This is maybe not what you're thinking about as an answer, but most people that I meet inspire me in some way. There is the old saying that says, every man is superior to me in some manner, right? And I meet people all the time, and in some way, I am just so impressed by them. Whether and it's something completely different in everybody, but yeah, I don't know. I couldn't narrow it down. I would say that most people inspire me on a daily basis.
Yeah, I really do like that quote, that everyone is superior to me in some way. And that kind of goes with just like your general vibe of just a humble student of not just finances, but life. And I think people could take a lot from you in addition to your financial advice, but just the way that, the way that you receive people. Because I remember reading, everybody is the culmination of everybody that they meet.
Yeah, well, that's good. That's good.
And I think that, much like you, if I go to a meeting or a convention or whatever, sometimes I'm like, let me see how I could better myself by talking to 5 people here.
Yeah.
It might be, I pick up a cool saying, I pick up an idea. So, Kimsey, you were phenomenal. Good people, sexy people. That wraps up. Brilliant.
Man, this was fun. This was a lot of fun. I will definitely come back if you have me back.
I would love to. One more time, Kimsey, let people know where they can find you.
Best way to find me is hollifieldfinancial.com. And from there, we have links to everything. We're on all the social media channels, YouTube. We're doing a lot on YouTube, but everything starts from our website and it can kind of fan out from there.
Awesome, Kimsey. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Thanks.